Welcome, Russell, to this lovely setting here near Mill Street, and I suppose as you can see behind us some fantastic photos here that bring back a lot of memories here.
Yeah, I'm amazed at all the photographs of this young fellow.
Good-looking fellow as well, wasn't he?
Was he?
Oh yeah, definitely, without a doubt.
It's great. It's very unexpected and very humbling, really, because it's such an amazing collection. I mean, some of the items like the rally jacket and the cover of Motor magazine, and I haven't seen for 35, 40 years.
Yeah. So it brings back a lot of nice memories, I would say.
Oh, absolutely, and particularly of Ireland, because featured is the car on which I won the Circuit of Ireland Rally in 1978.
You were talking about Ireland there, Russell. I suppose the Circuit of Ireland is one of your favourite events, isn't it?
I think it was an absolute classic of its day. Very long, lots of stages, and of course a very hard event, and a hard event to do well on against opposition like Billy Coleman, who was
That's right.
On tremendous form. Always, whether it was in a Lancia Stratos or a Ford Escort or a Mark II. And of course he made his name with TIU 250, was
That's right, and we have some pictures of that. Yeah, we have some pictures of that around here as well.
Yeah, everybody remembers that.
That's right.
But this is absolutely great. I mean, a very unexpected welcome. I've driven down from Waterford today, where we're doing a charity rally sprint on Sunday, and I never expected to be greeted here by so many people, lots of food laid out, and lots of memorabilia from my days in Andrews Heat Fire.
And 17 years that association went on for, is that correct?
That's correct, yes. It lasted for a long time. It was I think probably the longest major sponsorship association in rallying.
I'd say without a doubt.
It just about outstripped Lombard and the RAC rally,
right,
who were always 3 months behind us.
Yes. When did you actually start rallying? Was it in the early 60s, is that correct, Russell?
Yeah, I did my first rally in 1963, but my career never went very far, because in my first rally I borrowed my father's Austin Westminster. He didn't know any more about rallying than I did at the time,
right,
and I rolled it and crashed it, and he sold my car to pay for the damage to his, as the insurance company wouldn't cough up. So I navigated for 5 years before I did the RAC in 1968, and eventually ended up on the Mexico Championship.
That was in 1972, wasn't it, Russell?
That's correct, yeah. And then out of that grew a realisation that I could drive cars very quickly, and that fostered my ambition to become a works driver, which I did in 1977.
That's right, and I think you won the Scottish Rally in 1976. That was your first big win, would that be correct?
That's correct, yes, and Stuart Turner, the Ford competition director, had been challenged to find a place for a British driver who did well, and I beat Roger Clark on the 1976 Scottish Rally, which was my first international win, and it was the first time Roger had been beaten in a straight fight. And out of that I got my works drive with Ford in 1977.
And you went on to win the British Championship in 77 and 78, was it? Was that correct?
77 I won, 78 I tied with Hanno Mikkola.
Right.
79 was a very good year in terms of overseas wins. I won New Zealand and the Tulip Rally in Holland and a couple of other events, and then moved to Peugeot Talbot for 2 years.
That's right. The look kind of deserted you with that a bit, didn't it?
Well, it's a shame really, because it was a very easy and very good car to drive, but it wasn't the most reliable time for me. I think we did 13 or 14 rallies in the 2 years, and only finished 4 events, and of the 10 retirements, only 1 was my fault.
That's right, yeah, I remember seeing that, yeah.
I then went to General Motors, drove the Vauxhall Chevette, and we did 33 rallies in 2 years and retired on one.
That's right. You won the 1983 Circuit of Ireland with that car, I remember.
Yes, that was great because the car at that time was considered to be outclassed. It wasn't the most powerful, but it was a delightful handling car.
And I was talking to Joe Buckley here earlier, and he used to be competing against you back in those days as well. I think I remember the 1981 Circuit of Ireland. I think you went off, and I think Joe finished ahead of you on that event. Do you both recall that, or would I be correct in that?
Yes, it's great to meet Joe again after so many years. We were sparring partners on just so many events, and he always pulled the stops out and went incredibly quickly. And taught me a lot about testing as well. We've done a lot of testing together.
Joe, I suppose that brings back a lot of memories to you, does it, from those days?
It does indeed, except there wasn't much love lost when we were competing.
I can imagine there wouldn't have been, all right, yes.
It was the fastest at the end of the line,
Yes.
that's what counted, and we were all trying to get there.
But there were fantastic
great
rallies.
friends all the time. They were fantastic rallies, yeah.
There was always great camaraderie between all the competitors that time, wasn't there? I mean, between the whole lot of you were always, good mates at the end of a rally and whatever.
Yes, very much so, and I think that partly the reason is the events were so long and so tough. I mean, Circuit of Ireland was something like 500 miles of special stage, which was equivalent to 2 World Championship rallies today.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's a pity really that the Circuit of Ireland has gone kind of into a very smaller format in comparison to those.
It's a shame really, it's not the Circuit of Ireland anymore. They should call it the Ulster Rally because it is only in Ulster.
Yeah,
I think they come down over the border for some
for
few
one
miles.
or two stages, yeah.
It's terrible really.
Life moves on. I think we've seen the best of it. I'm sure every driver, when they look back, sort of says that era was the golden era, but I think that decade from 1975 when the Mark II Escort came out up to the end of 1986 when the Group B cars were banned was just something special. I mean, every year the cars got faster and more exciting. There were more spectators out. I mean, the volume of spectators following the Circuit of Ireland rally and rallies like that around them was absolutely something special to see. It was quite incredible.
I think we were actually recalling that there earlier with John there, the Circuit of Ireland in 1982, I think ran very close to here, and there was huge numbers out. I remember being out there that day.
I mean, the RAC International Rally in Britain, mainland Britain, used to get 1 million spectators on the route.
Yeah,
which is just
it's phenomenal crowds.
Yeah.
I suppose when I had the two of you here, what was the most favourite car you both ever drove? Is there any car that kind of stands out in your mind out of all the cars you've driven?
Oh, the cars that won.
Is there any, I suppose, the cars that won obviously, but is there any single model, I suppose, really?
Well, from my point of view, it's the Vauxhall Chevette. When I came to drive it, it wasn't the most competitive car around, but it was just such a light, easily handleable car. Great fun. You could go into corners at ridiculous speeds, get the corner completely wrong and contrive to come out on the other side of the corner, still going quickly, still going in the middle of the road. And when I came to it, it was a very reliable car as well. And it was that transformation from coming from the Sunbeam Lotus to the Vauxhall Chevette that make it such a favourite for me.
Very good. And George, what about you in all your years of rallying?
Well, I would stay with the Escort. If you actually knew an Escort well enough, you could actually talk to it.
Right. So you had a good few conversations, I'd say, in your day with your Escort.
A lot of tight ones and narrow ones. Short ones.
Exactly. But
Chevette was a great car.
I talked to my Ford Escort on a few occasions, but I can't repeat the language here.
Oh, right. Well, we won't go into that today, I suppose. But I suppose going a bit further beyond that, then you drove the Opel Manta.
Yes, that was a great car. It was very, very fast. For a two-wheel drive, normally aspirated car, it was really rather special. And of course, the big problem was you were pitched up against things like the TI-16, Peugeot,
Quattro,
Audi Quattro,
RS200,
all those cars on 400, 500 horsepower. And yet in a Manta you could still be competitive on dry tarmac, not so competitive on wet tarmac.
I mean, I think you won the 85 British Championship that year, am I correct in that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we had 2 great years where I was in the same team. They decided that the best way to get some publicity, or General Motors had decided that Jimmy McRae and myself should be in the same team together.
Right, so there was some good battles between the
And,
Mr. McRae and you.
I think those battles, which were won and lost by literally a handful of seconds, rally after rally, still live on in the memory of the fans. It was such an intense battle, and it was driving the Opel Manta is the one car that people still seem to remember.
Yeah, I think there was a fantastic sound off the Opel Manta in my times of rally. I thought it was a really sharp rally car. I don't know how, in comparison to the others, but I don't know, you might have a different...
No, it was very good. The only thing about it was a bit uncivilized, and it used to get stinking hot inside the car.
Right.
And it was the last rally car I drove that didn't have power steering.
Right.
And to make it turn in well, particularly on tarmac, you had to run a lot of caster. So you had to develop muscles like Charles Atlas to heat the steering wheel.
I'm sure you with the results you got, you had good muscles nowadays, so you did fine with it. I suppose from there on, in the Group E era, unfortunately, went from us in the start of 87, wasn't that it?
That's correct, yes. And they went to Group A. The cars were 300 horsepower or thereabouts. They were very much more like ordinary road cars. They weren't the flame-spitting monsters.
But you drove a Group A car with a lot less power than that, the little Astra, didn't you?
Yes, but I'd rather forget the Astra.
Yes. And then it was the Sierra era after that.
Yeah, that was my...
sorry, no, for intro. You had a Lancia Delta in the 97 RAC, am I correct in that?
87.
Oh, sorry, 87.
Yes, I drove for Lancia for one event, which was a great experience.
It was a taste of four-wheel drive.
Taste of four-wheel drive, taste of an absolutely fantastic rally team. People in Britain and Ireland don't realise just how good they were and how much ahead of the field they were in the technology they used. I mean, they were controlling the cars and had telemetrics and things that Formula One teams would be proud of even today.
Yes.
And they had that way back in 1985, 6, 7, that sort of era.
I suppose that's why they were so successful in rallying too, wasn't it?
Very much so, yeah. Terrific team. And then I went to Ford and had an Indian summer, driving first of all the 3-door Cosworth, which again 2-wheel drive, but on 400 horsepower.
That's right.
And then the Sapphire 4x4 Cosworth, which I gave Ford their first international rally win in a 4-wheel drive car.
That's right. So I suppose you were getting to the end of your career then, and you kind of took it a bit easier after that, but you still kept your hand in, I suppose.
Yes, it was sort of, it was hard to get a drive at that time. I was looking at only doing the British Championship all over again, having done it for a few years, and I thought, well, I've had some great years, it's been a great era. I've made a living from rallying, and who gets paid to do their hobby these days? And I decided to call it a day in 1991.